Josh? Wherever you are?
Dad does, and it says it was streamed 8 minutes.
Okay.
Do you want me to start again?
Yeah, we'll probably have to start again. Hold on a second.
So,
Hold on a second. Let me see when that goes back up.
It says it was an hour and 30 minutes long.
Hold on, Rob.
what happened? How did it go down?
Not sure. Hold on. Jade, how long ago did it freeze up, Josh? What?
It says it was streamed 10 minutes ago.
It was streaming 10 minutes ago?
It said it was streamed 10 minutes ago for me.
10 minutes later, it's gone.
It might be worth doing yours again.
Yeah. Yeah, we could do that. I'm sorry, what'd you say, Jeremy? The last thing that was said was 7:52, and Josh said it could have been Big Feet.
Big feet.
He meant Bigfoot, but he was calling him Big Feet. Hold on. Let me ask JD.
It says it's live now.
It says it's live now. Hey, are you guys there? Testing. Can you hear me? Oh, so that was at the very beginning of that. Hey, are you guys still here? If you guys can tell me the last thing that you guys heard me talking about, then I can do my story over if I need to. Wow, did I talk about Junior for that long?
Yeah, it's 2:10, you know. We've been on air an hour and 10 minutes.
Hey guys, anybody in here? Anybody in here? I didn't get a message from anybody. Okay, well, so, interesting. Yes, there's somebody here. Good. Okay, so it's back online.
Brilliant.
Okay. Christy, do you know what the last thing that we were talking about was before it went down? Oh, she just got here. Okay, so Rob,
Yeah.
why don't you go start with your story again, and We'll figure
We're
out
not
what happened with Junior.
Okie dokie.
Okay.
Virginia Carpenter. The next missing persons case happened in 1948 when a 21-year-old student by the name of Virginia Carpenter took a train to Denton in Texas to take a summer course at college.
Which isn't very far from me.
Yeah, you were saying, weren't you, that it's quite near.
Yeah.
Along the way, she met a school teacher. Virginia Carpenter actually wanted to be a school teacher. That's why she was doing this extra course at college. But anyway, she met a school teacher who was on her way to Denton, Texas as well. They agreed when they arrived that they would take a taxi together. When Virginia reached her destination, she realized she had left her bags at the station, and she took a taxi back to retrieve her bags. Much to her disappointment, the station staff told her that it had been put on another train, but would be delivered to her dormitory first thing in the morning. Taking yet another taxi back to her dormitory, Virginia reportedly got out of the taxi to talk with two men sitting outside of a yellow car. Virginia seemed to know the two men, so the taxi driver thought nothing of it and just drove away. That would be the last time she was seen alive. There are lots of sightings, but nothing 100%. Now, here is where it gets strange. For me, the whole thing with the taxis, if she could afford to pay for a train ticket and then for a taxi back to her original train station, then back again, back to a dormitory, why didn't she just get a taxi in the beginning? Obviously, she had the money to do that. But anyway, she didn't. She chose to go on the train.
Mm-hmm.
This is where it gets a bit strict. This is where it gets really, really strange. Another theory is Virginia had fallen victim to the serial killer called the Texarkana Phantom. Have I said that correctly?
Texarkana. Yep, you did.
Phantom. Which was made even more shocking that several of Virginia's friends would later die at the hands of the Texarkana Phantom. Okay, that would be the end of the story. But after a lot of digging, I found some crazy theories that Virginia actually was the Texarkana Phantom, and she thought she was going to get caught, so she disappeared, and the whole thing. And now it all makes sense to me that she was the actual serial killer, and she went back and killed some of her friends.
That, like I told you when we talked about it the first time, that's brilliant. That's seriously brilliant, don't you think?
Well, yeah, maybe not for her friends.
Well, probably not though. But like, if you're gonna be a serial killer, the best thing to do is serial kill yourself first, right?
There you
I'm
go.
dead, and then that's perfect. Go missing, and then the thing is, sometimes women friends just aren't that great friends.
Apparently.
So, just, oh shoot. Remember that time you were talking about me behind my back?
Well, you don't fucking do it again.
Remember that time you stole my boyfriend? Aw. Bye.
You remember that time you anally probed me?
I thought you said a little anal probing between friends was fine.
Well, it also obviously wasn't for Virginia.
I hate that. Hey, Steve, thank you. Mad Meerkat says, still with you. Thank you. So do you think that that's possible, that she could be the serial killer?
Well, yes, I do. And one of the reasons I do is this whole thing about her luggage getting lost and getting backwards and forwards and then going on another train. That to me sounds like a load of shit. personally. And
I see.
if you were a policeman interviewing her, they wouldn't believe that. I don't think,
Okay.
because it doesn't make sense. And if something doesn't make sense, it's usually not real. It's usually not the truth.
Right.
I know I sound like Judge Judy, but
You sound like Judge Barry White.
yeah, I certainly do.
You're not bad for 50.
Tell me about it.
That's pretty good, Rob.
So what do you think? Do you think that it could be real?
I
Or do
wish
you-
I would have thought of it myself, personally. I do. I mean, story-wise, I wish, like, I wish I could have thought of that. That's an awesome story. Sure, it could be real. I mean, I hope really badly that it is.
What about the poor bloody victims?
Well, obviously, I wish that it hadn't happened, obviously. But it did happen. And I mean, if she pulled that off, that's brilliant. You can't disappear anymore. You can't kill people anymore these days. DNA.
Shucks.
Yeah, I know. You can't disappear anymore with freaking cameras everywhere and all your money's on your debit card and
Unless you're in a national park, then you can kill away.
If you are in a national park, it is your Disneyland. That's crazy. It really is crazy, though, isn't it?
Yeah. We just during the summer, it's like an all you can eat buffet of people just waiting to be hung, drawn, and quartered, and ate, or buried alive, or dismembered, or any other horrible thing that I can think of.
That's the craziest part is they know that all these people are going missing in national parks. And because what I say it was like 2 billion or $12 billion a year industry.
Yeah.
That what are they going to do about it? They don't want to scare people away. And, if one goes missing once a year or if 10 go missing a year, it's a small price to pay, right?
Well, the thing is, do you remember us talking? We were talking about horror movies, and in a horror movie, it's always the black family or the black guy who says, I'm getting out of here, I'm not staying around, when they hear the noise.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you imagine coming home from school if you lived in America and your mum and dad said, guess what we're doing this weekend? We're gonna go on a camping trip in the Appalachian Mountains. And you would be like, sorry, where are we going?
Wait, is this if I was a black kid?
Hey?
Is that what you mean? Is this if I was a black kid?
No, I'm just saying, if your mum and dad said to you, we're going to go camping in the national park or wherever, you would be like, did you wake up with some kind of fucking death wish this morning? Because we're not going to be coming back.
Well, some of them will be. Some of them will be. Somebody posted on my Demon House video the other day that there's no way that story was true because black people wouldn't live there. And I told him it reminded me of Eddie Murphy's joke, which is what we had talked about.
Yeah.
And she said, yeah. She goes, this is a really lovely neighborhood. Get out. Too bad we can't stay. And that, that was the joke. And I was like, that's right. Yeah. Nope, not going to happen. But yeah, now that I've looked into the the national park system and the missing people thing, I'm not gonna. I'm not camping there. I really actually I love camping, but no, not gonna happen. And speaking of that, my next story. Hold on a second. Mad Meerkat says, I follow your Jane and John Doe cases, and it really surprises me that in today's technical age, how many people remain unidentified and unclaimed. Yeah, um, that surprises me. And yes, actually, missing persons and mysteries. Thank you. Um, you contacted me through email. Is that correct? And I've been trying to find that email ever since. So, if you could email me again, I've been looking for you. Um, as okay, yes, great, thank you. If you could email me again, I'm trying. I wanted to get in contact with you. So, go ahead and do that. I've been looking for you like you were lost in a national forest.
Tracy,
Yes.
before you do your next story, I've got a few numbers here that I'd like to just tell everyone about how many people actually go missing and who they are and where they go missing from. So
Okay.
would I be able to do that?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay. There are as many as 100,000 active missing person cases in the US at any one given time.
Wow.
Of the 692,994 people reported missing in 2010, 531,928 were under 18 years of age,
Oh my gosh.
according to the National Crime Information Center. 355,243 were women, compared to 333,760 or something were men. According to most statistics, nearly 1,800 people go missing every day. Now,
1,800 people?
Yeah, go missing every
Wow.
day. Now, a lot of these are cases that the people who could turn up. There are a few that are people that want to go missing and just disappear. But there are a lot of cases where people just seemingly disappear into thin air and leave no trace, just go poof and they've gone.
Wow.
That is scary. Well, I thought it was anyway.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, so a certain percentage of those want to go missing. Certain percentage of those probably self-harmed. But in the grand scheme of things, that is, oh my gosh, super crazy.
And that you've got to bear in mind that was in 2010. So
right.
Now, but it's more now. The figures I couldn't find proper figures for like 2017, so to speak.
Wow.
But those figures will be more now. That's just astronomical. It's just, and so many of them are young people, either children, young adults, teenagers who are disappearing. Where are they going?
Wow. I don't know. That's so scary.
It is, yeah.
I just can't even.
I mean, joking aside, would you honestly, knowing what you know, would you go on for £1 million? Would you go on a camping trip in just a tent, not in a mobile home or an RV, in some of these national parks? I mean, you wouldn't, would you? There is a
Yeah.
percent. There must be a percentage. There must be odds against some odds about you not going missing and not being found again. You know,
Right.
so many people go missing. You know, there must be a chance. I don't know what that chance may be. That you're going to go missing and no one's ever going to see you again. Your body's never going to be found, and you know you're gone. You just disappeared.
Yeah.
That's scary. That is, and it's not science fiction. This is what's happening.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know,
Right.
this is fact. This is
Yeah.
fact. Crazy.
That is crazy. You know, like I said before, my daughter went on her honeymoon in a national park, and I was worried about it.
I'm not surprised.
Um, Also, I did a missing persons case on a man whose name was David Blake. He went missing this year. So they found his parked car in a parking lot with his keys, his cell phone, his wallet, and they did a huge search for him, and they did find him. They found his body. So I wanted to do that update really quick on David Blake. I'm going to do my next story on hold on a second. Oh, Samantha Sayers. Is that okay with you?
Fire away.
Okay, so there are certain parts of the country, certain mountain ranges, certain areas that have the largest percentage of people who go missing for whatever reason. And Washington State is one of those places. And I was born and raised in Washington State, lived in the wooded areas. My parents, I don't know what they were thinking. And Samantha Sayers disappeared from Vesper Peak, North Cascade in Washington State. So I'm going to talk about her story. I have a video that has to do with Samantha Sayers. If you guys would like to go look at that, I think Maya will put that link up. So Samantha disappeared on August 1st of this year. She was an avid hiker. She went on a solo hike and was never seen again. She vanished without a trace. Samantha left on the trail at 8 o'clock in the morning, and she was expected to head home and check in with her boyfriend, Kevin Dares, that evening by 6 o'clock. Kevin couldn't go with her because he was working, but headed to the trail that evening because it was starting to get dark and he hadn't heard anything from her, and he was getting worried. The Vesper Trails Association describes the Vesper Peak Trail as Vesper Peak is definitely not for the novice hiker, but for those thirsting for one step beyond hiking into backcountry adventure, it's a good leaping off point. The potential consequences of stumbling here are decidedly lesser than they are on other summits along the mountain loop. Some hikers have said that the Vesper Peak Trail is hard to follow, implying that perhaps Sam had accidentally wandered off. This missing case resulted in one of the largest searches to ever happen in Washington State. When Sam was last seen, she was wearing light gray pants, a black sports bra. She has green eyes, and she is bald because she has alopecia. She has tattoos. Jeremy's going to put the pictures up. 70 searchers went for 14 dog teams and helicopters searched the area to no avail. At one point, drone operators and the sheriff's Marine unit were involved. In addition, volunteer searchers from around the state and other states spent thousands of hours of time, over 6,000 hours of time, searching for Samantha. And they also made these little bags that they would hang or put like a rock at the end of it. And in the bags, they gave her ponchos, socks, energy bars, a compass, a flashlight, some fire sticks, and a lighter. And then they wrote a little note in there that said, "Stay strong, we're looking for you. And everyone is thinking of you." They left these all over the area. She never came back. Her boyfriend said that she had lunch with an unidentified male before she disappeared. This unidentified person checked in with searchers and reported that after seeing the news of the disappearance, that he had had lunch with Sam to the summit on that day at around 3 p.m. He also said that after they parted ways, he later saw her from a distance, making her way down the west side of the mountain towards Spada Lake. Her boyfriend's father brought in his own helicopter and did their own helicopter search. There were not only search dogs, but corpse, what's the word I'm looking for? Cadaver dogs that went looking for her. The sheriff's office said that since August 2nd, search operations had included 357 hours of air operations from the sheriff's department alone, 105 hours of drone operations of the area, 82 hours for the Marine unit, 329 hours for the sheriff's office search and rescue personnel, and thousands, like I said, much higher than 6,000 hours of volunteer help. Sam's car was found parked at the trailhead, which is 27 miles south of Darrington on the Mountain Loop Highway. After 3 weeks, on August 23rd, 2018, the search was called off officially with zero signs of her. She went missing without a trace. There is a man who owns a drone company, and he usually takes wedding photos and, birthday celebrations.
Yeah.
So he takes those type of photos. But what he has done is that every weekend he goes out there with his drone. He can cover like 23-mile area. He said that he can see a quarter on the ground. That's how closely he can get in and zoom in and see things. He has taken hours and hours and hours of photos, and he pastes them online so that people on the internet can help him go through these photos and zoom in and look and see. He said that after like 22 photos, his eyes get really weak and tired, and he's afraid he'll miss something. So not only have search and ground crews gone in there for this rescue search, but thousands of people on the internet have taken part in helping to go through this man's photographs, looking to find any clue. And he can go into the crevices, he can go into the rocky areas, he can go into places where search teams couldn't go in case she had fallen down into a rocky area. There aren't a whole lot of trees. They have a GoFundMe page to help her, and they are asking that anybody who has a search dog, who is a hiker, who has a drone, anybody, if they could help them search for Samantha, that they please get in touch with them and volunteer to do so. Of course, when it's snowing, and it could very well be snowing right now, the search will be called off until spring. But they, at the very least, want to try and see if there's any sign of her body. But after thousands and thousands and thousands of hours, hundreds, thousands of people searching, a ton of dogs, helicopters, heat seeking, never been found. She disappeared. Another person in Washington to disappear completely without a trace. And when this story first came out, and her boyfriend had said that she had had lunch with somebody before she disappeared, which was strange. Because she left for the trail at 8:00, and I thought, well, that was weird to say that she had lunch with somebody. They hadn't reported yet that that person was on the trail with her. So the last person that ever saw her alive was somebody she had lunch with on the trail, and he said that he'd seen her leave, but we don't know what happened to her. She's just gone. Her parents, her mom, held out hope that she would be alive. But like I said, she disappeared without trace, not a single trace, nothing. And if something had happened to her, if the man who had seen her last had done something, you'd think there would be at least a trace, but it's like she was never on the mountain at all.
It's crazy.
The part where you can go missing without a trace is the part that scares me so badly.
Yeah. And you know what? And I hope I'm not right here. I really hope I'm not right. But you're saying that it could be snowing now.
Yes.
What are the chances of when the snow starts to melt next year or whenever it starts to melt, that her body will be found and it will be somewhere that was searched by hundreds of people?
Well, that case I just told you about, the David Blake, his body was found where it had been searched by hundreds of people, right off of a trail. And when these bodies are found, if they ever are found, it's almost always. That's one of the I did one of these with Jory, and they have this list of things that are in common with, like 85% of all these cases. And one of the things that's listed as being in common is that if a body is found, it's always found right out where people had searched all over, right there, just like somebody goes, okay, we're done, here you go. So if it is found, her body will be found. I am willing to bet where hundreds of people searched for her.
Yeah.
And zoomed in and everything, and it ended up not being her jacket, but her mother was very happy to know that they could zoom in on something very small where the searchers couldn't go to see if it had anything to do with her. And like I said, of course, nothing has.
And it's like the original, what we were saying earlier, it must be hell for her parents because they can't move on. They can't grieve. They can't, what's the right way to react and what's the right thing to do? Do you just presume she's dead and grieve her? Or do you just carry on hoping? As the years go by and as time goes by, it must be so difficult.
Right. Well, there's somebody in the comments who's saying, when you say certain people who want to go missing, like they want to go missing in national parks, yes. Yes. Um, well, okay, two things. I don't think they want to go missing in a national park. I think that there are people who love camping, love nature. This is a special spot for them, and perhaps they were suicidal. I think that's the case for that. I don't think they want to go missing in a national park. I think if they want to go missing, they park their car in the parking lot of a national park and go somewhere else. That's my opinion. And they're counted as being missing in the national park because their car's in the national park.
Yeah.
So I don't think anybody wants to go missing in a national park. No, but I do believe that people go there and do self-harm in an area where they're comfortable. And then how they go missing without a trace is a whole other weird thing, because how does that happen? You can't hide your own self unless you go like into caves or something. Maybe you found a cave when you were hiking or something, but I don't know. I don't think they say, I want to go missing, so I'm going to go to a national park and hope that I'm abducted, or Bigfoot, or serial killers, or whatever is out in the national parks who is taking people. I don't think that. No, they don't. They're not looking for that. No, I don't think so. So
Crazy. Scary
yeah,
and crazy.
yeah.
You know, we. I just. I don't know the words. It's just. There's got to be something done, whether it's. This needs to be looked into more. I think it needs to be looked into more, the fact that this is happening so much and people are just basically vanishing into thin air. Surely the authorities or whoever should be able to. I mean, even if it's just, if you have an area where a lot of people have gone missing, could they not put up CCTV cameras just recording?
Yeah.
Well,
but now you're assuming that they want to know, right? Then they want us to know. Okay? That's assuming that. Now, as we know, some cases have brought in the military, and they have an idea of what's happened. Like the two cases, the young boy, where within minutes the armed forces were there, armed, which is actually not legal to do, and they don't search for missing persons. They have to be okayed by it has to be okayed by the governor. It starts out locally, uh, then it starts out, then you can go to the sheriff, then you can call like the National Guard. You don't go straight to the Army Rangers who come in armed to the teeth looking for something. That doesn't happen, but it has happened. So why? So if you do put up a CC camera, or what's it called? CCT. What's it called?
CCTV, closed circuit
Okay.
television.
Okay. So let's say you put up CCTVs. Well, what are we gonna see? Maybe they don't want us. Maybe they know and they don't want us to know. Like the little boy, like Junior Shoemaker, where the police said there's nothing to see here, nothing to see here, no foul play. But they bring the FBI in. The FBI only comes in if it's a kidnapping and possibly over state lines. So why'd they bring the FBI in? What did they know that we don't know? So in oh, what's the park? I'm trying to think. Jeremy, what's the park that I'm going to be doing with Paul Miller? Joshua Tree National Park. Lots of people go missing in Joshua Tree National Park, and it is quite widely assumed that the local police know what's happening, are possibly involved in covering it up. And like I've said in one of my stories, I personally know someone who's close to me and who I believe fully that they had an experience with the police in Joshua Tree National Park that left them believing that the police department is untrustworthy. Very. And people go missing there very often. It's one of those hotspot things. So I don't think that you'll ever see cameras put up, or they would have done that a long time ago.
It's a good point that you're making, actually. You know, maybe they do know what is going on, and they don't want us to know. Maybe there is something, whether it be paranormal, whether it be serial killers, whether it be aliens, whether it be Bigfoot, maybe they don't want us to know.
Yeah. And think about that. Think about this. Like I said, it's a whatever it was, $12 billion industry. Putting the cameras up and us seeing things, knowing things, they're going to lose a lot of money.
Yeah.
And even if it boils down to what it is serial killers, which is prime for the picking, spring through summer, it's prime. And if it's just that, if it's not even paranormal, I feel like they know something, and we're never going to see that. Hold on, I'm trying to read. Jay says, enough of these kids go missing. This is and should always be a priority worldwide. Hence, government informed. They know all about this in national parks. Completely agree. Steve says, do you know if anyone has gone missing in the national parks while they were searching for a missing person?
Yeah.
You do? I haven't found a story, but you do, Rob?
Yeah, but I can't. I'd have to dig it out. But yeah, I have heard that.
Okay.
Yeah, it has happened. It's happened a couple of times.
Missing Persons and Mystery said that he had an experience when he at Joshua Tree National Park when he lived in Palm Springs. I think that out of all the national parks, Joshua Tree National Park is the last park I would go to or take my children to. It seems to be particularly protected by the police department and what's happening, and even so much as the father of a child who went missing there believes that the police department was involved in it and hid it like somebody in the police force is doing this, and they covered it up for him. And that's the little girl who they showed. Remember, we talked about this. They showed the parents a tiny little piece of a child's 3-year-old skull, and then a couple of years later they showed her a full skull that was an adult with grown adult teeth and said it was their daughter.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Let's see. As a survival technique, you can use your hands to dig a hole to lay in. It lets you lay in the cool dirt. I basically buried myself to where only my legs and head were sticking out. If it hadn't been for search and rescue, I would have been there. I would have died there, as I was there for 5 days. When I finally got into the ambulance and they gave me an IV drop of fluids, I didn't know what happened. 29 Palms was our headquarters for desert warfare. Jay says, 29 Palms was our headquarters for desert warfare. Some of the best Marines, and not once did we get any calls. It goes to the sheriffs. Right. They don't call in the military. That's not protocol. So when the military does go in, like the first case I talked about with Junior Shoemaker, with the Army and the National Guard being called in, or sorry, being moved to the area to practice search and rescue for 5 months, that's not a normal line of command. Missing person says, I thought I was in a car accident. You still don't know what happened to you? Yeah, I would. He said, I can elaborate perhaps for a collab. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. So, yeah, Joshua Tree National Park, like I said, somebody very, very close to me had a bad experience there as well. And I wouldn't go. And, we used to drive by there all the time because we would go from Arizona to Anaheim to go to Disneyland. But I wouldn't go hiking there. As a matter of fact, my next story coming up is going to be about Joshua Tree National Park. So, hold on. The berets were armed to the teeth in New York and Tennessee. Why? For a missing toddler? Exactly. Yes, that's right. Yeah, I made that comment too. Why are they going in armed? Which is illegal to do, unless they're directed. So you have to wonder what is going on in the national parks where you have to go in armed to the teeth. So, hey, you guys, let's go camping with no weapons and just a tent, and then we'll get on a trail. That'll be awesome. And somebody's going to be the last person, because the odds are, statistically speaking, if you're the last person on the trail, you're going to be the person who goes missing. If you're the person in the group who has to run back and get a jacket, we'll never see you again.
Yeah.
If you're the person in a group who says, I just want to go back to the campground, bye. Never separate from your group, and don't walk in a straight line. The odds exponentially increase that something's going to happen to you.
I think people think that if they stick to a trail, they're safe. Mm-hmm. But if you think about it logically, it's probably one of the most unsafe places to be. Where are you going to find people?
It's like fish thinking being in the barrel is the safest place to be.
Exactly.
Yeah, probably not. You're right. Okay, so forget camping. Okay. It's your turn to tell us about somebody, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Okay, bring it.
Elise Lam.
Which probably most people here have probably heard the name Elise Lam.
Okay. The CCTV, closed-circuit television video of Elisa right before she died is extremely disturbing. She is seen interacting with an invisible person or thing. The lady was said to be bipolar. Now, a little bit of getting on my soapbox here. As a person who suffers from mental illness, it really annoys me when a person disappears and it's basically blamed on their state of mind. She was poorly, that's why she did it. I don't. Okay, in some cases, yeah, that could be the reason, but it's not always the reason. It's not always. Right. Her parents said that yes, she was bipolar. She had been looking forward to this trip for a long time. She was on her meds and she was really, really healthy. And, it was completely out of character for her. we'll get to that later on in the story. Anyway, she was downtown in a hotel in Los Angeles. A few days after she disappeared, the hotel guests started to complain about the taste of the water. So on checking on the locked water tanks on the roof of the hotel, Elise's body was found in one of the tanks.
Okay, people were drinking her?
Basically,
Oh.
they complained that the water was a funny color and tasted like shit or tasted like dead people.
Mm.
And they opened up the water tank and they found her.
Mm.
Now, there are a lot of strange facts about this. No more than the CCTV of Elisa in the hallway and the lift. It looked like Elisa was trying to hide from an invisible force. Then she's having problems choosing the floor. When she goes outside of the lift, she looks like she's talking with someone. She's seen gesturing with her hands and again messing with the numbers of the floor. Okay, what are the facts that we know? The whole lift episode could have been could she have been interacting with an unseen force, i.e., a ghost, a spirit, or a demon, or do you just think it's down to the fact that she was bipolar?
But she was on her medication, right?
She was on a med, yeah. She was on a medication. Let me set the scene a little bit. She wasn't just going to LA. She was traveling in America to places that she wanted to go to, and LA was just one of the places on her sort of on the holiday that she was taking. She had left. They found postcards and stuff in her room and a diary, which were really positive. You know, she wasn't suicidal or didn't seem to be suicidal or anything like that. But the suicide one, I think when I get into it a little bit more, you'll realise that she couldn't have committed suicide.
Okay.
Okay. Another fact: access to the roof is locked. Access is just for maintenance workers of the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
The actual water tank was locked, and the access door, the door that you went into to get to the actual water, was really, really small, and you would really struggle getting in it. If a normal person, maybe if you were a small child, you'd be able to sort of crawl through this hole, this doorway. But it would be really, really difficult for a grown person to get through. I think I watched on a documentary about it. They actually had to take the whole of the top of the water tank off to retrieve her body, which doesn't make sense. The fact that how could she get through a lot? Obviously, the locked access to the roof. She got through that. Then she managed to climb up the side of a water tank. She managed to unlock the water tank, the door of the water tank. She managed to somehow crawl through a small hole into the water tank. Then, as if by magic, she managed to close and lock the water tank. I don't know how she managed to do that from the inside when the lock's on the outside. And then she just died. I shouldn't laugh, I'm sorry, but it's just some of the things are just a bit bizarre.
And a normal person wouldn't even know what was up there or what was in those tanks if they managed to get up.
Exactly. And I don't know how you feel about the bipolar issue, but a lot of cases we've done and we've talked about on our podcasts, it's like almost like the default setting for when someone goes missing. They just say, well, the person's got a mental illness, so it must have been that. It must have been that. Like I mentioned before to Tracy, the police looked around her room. They looked in her diary. They looked at her postcards that she was about to post. She wasn't suicidal unless it suddenly just happened that night and she became suicidal. Just because she was acting strangely outside the lift or the elevator, whichever way you want to call it, does not mean that she was bipolar. I know a few people that are bipolar, and that is one of the things they don't necessarily hallucinate to that degree, where she was seeing. I mean, another fact as well. When the CCTV was released, it was only a short actual couple of minutes. The actual you can go on YouTube now and you can actually see the 4 minutes, 4.5 minute full video of her when she was in the lift. She was hiding behind the doors. She was struggling to see the numbers. She went outside and she, for all intents and purposes, was having a conversation with somebody. She was gesturing with her hands and she seemed a little bit distressed. She went back in the lift and then she hid behind the door. It is just really, really, it's quite spooky, really, when you think how the evening ended for her. Um, Obviously,
Well,
somehow getting in the water tank and then locking it.
well, to
But they,
me, she does look like she's having a conversation with somebody.
yeah, yeah, she does.
And because you can only see so far out of the
You can't see the
elevator.
side, can you?
Yeah,
The
you
way
can't
she's
see to the
facing,
sides.
the
Yeah,
way she's facing, you can't see because of the lift
yeah, right.
or the lift. You can't. She could have been talking. She could have been speaking to somebody. I would have thought though they would have had a camera in the hallway. I I just
Yeah,
would have.
I would think they would have a camera in the hallway too. And did she interact with anybody that day? Was she being manic? I've never heard anybody say any account of her being manic that day.
Well, she spoke to him. I think she spoke to her mum at some point earlier on in the day, and she was supposedly leaving the next day to go to the next part of her trip. Um, and she obviously that never happened. And her mum said that she was fine, and she'd wrote um, she'd wrote postcards out for all her friends, and she seemed really positive. Um, you know, but there is one other fact, and I don't know if um, this could have had anything to do with it. The actual hotel was called the Cecil Hotel, where she was found dead. The Now I didn't know this. I would really, really appreciate Tracy telling me this. The hotel was used in a TV show starring Lady Gaga, The American Horror Story. That was the outside, wasn't it? They used the outside
And the foyer.
and the foyer of the
Hmm.
hotel, and also the serial killer known as the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez. He was living in the hotel at the time. Well, people believe it was at the time he was killing people, doing his
Hmm.
serial bit. He was actually living at the hotel.
Hmm.
Um, so
You know who else lived at the hotel?
no, I
Or
couldn't
had
find.
who went to the hotel? The Black Dahlia.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, nice one. Well, not a nice one, but it's crazy, isn't it? Could
Yeah.
there be something about this hotel that maybe pushes people over the edge?
Well, there were lots of suicides and deaths at this hotel. From 1930 on. If you guys go look up the list of deaths and violence at the Cecil Hotel, a lot of people committed suicide, and a woman threw her newborn baby out of the window. I mean, she had just given birth to it in the hotel. Like I said, a lot of people jumped out of the windows. These things are why you go to a hotel now and you can't open the windows. And like I said, the Black Dahlia was known to hang out at the bar in this hotel. Night Stalker lived at this hotel. It's seen a lot of strange things happen in this hotel.
Well, it's funny you should mention all that because they actually used a lot of that in American Horror Story.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's very, very similar. They did have someone playing Ramirez.
Yes. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And they had lots of people committing suicide by jumping out of the windows as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. They really used that. There was an Australian serial killer who lived at the hotel. His name was Jack Unterweger or something. Unterweger? Austrian. He was Austrian.
Sorry.
Unterweger. Johann Jack Unterweger, I bet is what it is. He was a serial killer. He ended up committing suicide. So, yeah, they used a lot of this history in the American Horror Story hotel version. So, yeah, it's very interesting. It's been redone. It's beautiful. It looks like it did in American Horror Story now, but it had gone from super fancy to super Skid Row, and then made its way back to be remodeled the way it used to look. It's a scary place.
Yeah, I don't think I'd like to stay there.
I would like to go there.
I'd like to go and do a investigation, but I don't know if I'd like to actually go and stay.
Right. Yeah. I think I would actually like to go and stay either. Elise Lam's death, like somebody in the chat said they think that it was an employee of the hotel. I think that makes sense because, like you said, the door was locked. I've heard that there was no way she could even be capable of lifting or the lid to get in, and that there also was a space between the water and the top of this thing where she could have been breathing. Yeah. So I don't know that. I think that case is so well known because it is that death is very mysterious, very weird.
It's very sad as well.
Yeah, extremely sad. And I agree with you about the bipolar thing. I think it's a go-to when instead of saying we don't have any answers.
Yeah. Just to get out of jail free card for the police, really. It's just, or for the authority. When they find out someone's got a mental illness, and that's the reason for everything in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, so my next one is, like I said, a missing person vanished without a trace from Joshua Tree National Park, and it's also recent. I also have a link to this story and the last one to Maya, if you would put that up. Actually, every story I've talked about, I have a link, and if you could put those up, that would be awesome. I try not to really put my opinions when I do the story, a video about it, because it's really not about my opinion. It's just about the facts. And also I'd like to, to let people know that I understand and I keep in mind that these are real people who have died and had family and friends, loved ones, and especially the new ones, anyone really, but the new ones are still fresh for their family and friends. And I do keep that in mind. And when I do the videos, I do as well.
Yeah, it's important that.
Yeah. I don't, I don't want somebody stumbling across something that's irreverent and criticizing them for a choice they made or something that just causes pain. You know what I mean? So that, or just adding useless stuff. So this case is about Paul Miller. He disappeared on July 13th,
Tracy,
2000. Yes.
sorry to interrupt you. Can I just
Yes.
ask you a quick question?
Yes.
The Joshua Tree National Park. Now, the only time I've heard the Joshua Tree was a U2 album called The Joshua Tree.
Right.
Are they talking about the same place?
I have no idea.
They
Oh,
are.
Jeremy says yes, they are.
All right, nice one, mate. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. Phew, you saved me. Yes, they are, Rob.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's a desert. Okay, here's the cool thing about Joshua Tree. It's a desert. It has a whole bunch of different kinds of cactuses, but also it has this amazing thing where there's literally an oasis in the middle of this park that has its own ecosystem because it's an oasis and it's covered by these palms and there's water obviously because it's an oasis. There's fish in there, there's birds in there, like kind of ducks and frogs and lizards. It's this whole ecosystem that doesn't exist in the rest of the park, and that's pretty cool. And they have like goats, billy goat kind of goats that live around here, and I wouldn't mind. I think that'd be fun to go see something like that, but I'll pass. I'll look at pictures. Anyway, Paul Miller disappeared on July 13, 2018, which is when my daughter got married. That is, for the record, Friday the 13th. In Joshua Tree National Park, California. Paul was 51 years old, and he and his wife Stephanie lived in Ontario, Canada. They were on vacation in California and Nevada, including Las Vegas, because they were celebrating their 26th wedding anniversary. It was typical of them to go and hike for special events. They loved it. So they had been hiking and kayaking. They had even hiked across Canada, North America, and Mexico. They were getting ready to leave their hotel room in 29 Palms on July 13th, but Paul wanted to take one more short hike because he wanted to photograph some of the bighorn sheep. And he had not seen any the day before, so he wanted to go back and catch some of these sheep. Obviously, he was a hiker. That's what they did for fun. He left the hotel at 9 a.m. and he drove to Joshua Tree National Park. He promised to be back later that morning. Stephanie was going to go with her husband, but she decided to stay because they had a time they had to check out of the hotel room, so she told him to go, and she would go ahead and finish packing. The couple had both been in there the day before hiking, and that was the last time that anybody Well, not anybody. Somebody did see him, but he went missing without a single trace. According to the MPS, this is the description of this trail that he was going on. The 49 Palms Oasis Trail offers a 3-mile round-trip hike to a fan palm oasis. It requires 2 to 3 hours and is rated moderately strenuous, ascending about 300 feet each way. This well-maintained trail climbs to a ridge where large numbers of barrel cacti dot the landscape. After winding around the ridge top, the trail descends steeply to the oasis located in a rocky canyon. Towering palms create a canopy over clear pools of water. Large boulders provide a place to rest and enjoy the sights and sounds of this small ecosystem. George Land from the park said that it is not a difficult trail. You go in and you come out the exact same way. However, it is a little bit of a rigorous trail. When he hadn't returned by 11, his wife grew concerned, which is strange to me because it says it takes 2 to 3 hours to make the walk. If he was going to be photographing, he would have taken time to do that. So perhaps he was only going to go in a certain way and then turn around and come back, because that's only 2 hours driving there, driving home, walking in. If you're hiking the whole hike, that's 2 to 3 hours. And if he's going to be doing some photography, that would take a little bit longer. But you usually have to check out of your hotel by 11 o'clock. So they must have made an arrangement that he would be back by then. She gave him another hour, and at noon, when she had not heard from him, she called park officials. And they began a search by 12:30. And that's another thing that seems odd to me. He had gone for this hike. It takes 3 hours. If somebody says, my husband went to the park to go on a hike at 9 o'clock, he went to the 29 Palms Trail, he's not home yet. It seems odd that they would start a search that quickly. Like, well, call me back in an hour and a half if he's not back.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, not on the dot of when he should have been back. And he was supposed to stop and take some photography too. So give it another couple hours. Unless, like I said, they had made arrangements where specifically he was going to be back before it was time to get out of the hotel, which could be the case and why she called, and maybe she explained that. I don't know.
Saying that, I used to have a girlfriend like that who wanted to know where I was every single minute of every day. So maybe she was a little bit like that.
It's possible, but yeah, that's possible. It just feels like common sense to me that you wouldn't start calling yet. But like I said, I don't know if they had made an arrangement, and it was never said anything in the news that they had. So I don't know. Paul's rental car was found at the 49 Palms Oasis trailhead. His cell phone was left at the hotel. So that, again, you hadn't heard from him, but also he doesn't have his phone. But she said it wasn't unusual for him to leave his cell phone behind. He was wearing dark shorts, super dark gray, almost black, high-tech altitude VIWP hiking boots. He had a black hat, and he was carrying his sunglasses. He had a camel pack, and he had his Nikon with him. So they brought in, this is another part that's just crazy to me. He's been missing for, really, by this time, he hasn't even been missing for the time it would take to hike the trail. But 600 people were brought in.
How many?
600.
Whoa.
They put in 6,000 hours. searching for him. They had 20 dog teams.
You know.
They had an ATV search team, and they had a helicopter. This started at 12:30. He hadn't been missing as long as the hike takes.
Unless they know something, because there's been a lot of people gone missing from there. There's been a lot of missing people from there before.
Exactly.
They thought we're going to get in there early and see if we can find
yes. Them. So it seems like overkill, but is it?
Mm.
Let's see. So, no evidence other than his car has ever shown up. They had one witness who saw him at the trailhead that morning, and that's why I said she wasn't the last person to see him, because I did have a witness that saw him at the trailhead. But that was it. They never found his camera. They never found anything. So they brought in, like I said, search dogs. They used technical specialists with high-angle cameras, rescue cameras, so they could look into crevices. Nothing was found. Despite the fact that they had brought in 20 dog teams, no dog picked up his scent. No dogs. Now, here's my question. If he had been there the day before hiking as well, wouldn't there still be a scent from that? Yes.
I would have thought so.
Because that's, if somebody's been missing for 2 days, they bring in a dog. So if he had been there yesterday, it feels like the dogs would have picked up his scent from yesterday. Why is there no scent?
Unless it rained really heavily overnight.
Maybe, but it doesn't say so. So I can only assume that.
Probably did. But...
Yeah, I can only assume that it didn't. The park superintendent said as of mid-August in 2018 that there were no new clues as to what happened to Paul, but he assured them the Park Service will not forget about Mr. Miller. We are doing all we can. The FBI is only called in if there is a murder or homicide, and at this point, there is no indication that is the case. Nothing to indicate that this was a planned disappearance. P.S. The FBI was called in.
So, do you think that the more this happens, the more, because you've mentioned a couple tonight where the FBI have actually been called in.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me the more occasions where this happens, the more likely they are to call in the FBI.
Yeah. But also they deny that they're going to call in the FBI. So I just don't understand why deny it. Yeah. I just don't get that part. His wife said if they can't find him in the park, then he has to be out of the park. There's only two options. He's in or he's out. So where is he?
Well, that's true.
Which is true, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
She said that she feels like every day is hell. And a sad thing that she said was, this is heartbreaking. She said, for the life of me, I can't remember his T-shirt.
Oh.
That's, for some reason, that particular thing is just So sad.
Yeah.
It's funny that she says that because, like, when my kids were little and they would leave, I would make extra sure I knew what they were wearing. So I didn't. So if something was to happen, I could recall quickly what are they wearing. Anyway, so that was in the summer, and he's still missing. Never a jacket, his hat, nothing found. Just disappeared without a trace.
It's and that was like, what year are we talking now? Because obviously
2018. It was this past summer.
oh God,
Yeah.
poor lady, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And how old was he?
He was I think hold on, I think he was 51. Let me double check that. He was 51, yes. He looks exactly like Chandler from Friends. If Jeremy puts that picture up where he's wearing the orange jacket and the Under Armour hat, he looks exactly like Chandler from Friends. Yeah. Somebody said cacti. I know it's cacti. I was just joking about the cactuses thing.
And you said that there's a lot of people, or there's a lot of stuff going on at this Joshua Tree place.
Yes. And I did a story somewhere else where they blamed what happens in this area. They say it's surrounded by towns that are populated with a lot of drug addicts. Jay, did you get that impression when you were there that it's surrounded by towns with a lot of drug addicts? We stopped in that in that area to eat lunch every time we went to Disneyland. We would stop there on our way, and that was the first place where we'd fill up with gas. Well, we would fill up, then we'd stop and top it off, and then go on. I was never there long enough to say, oh, this is the town that's full of, meth addicts. So, but that's what they blame a lot of stuff on, is that the town is surrounded by drug addicts, which, by the way, explains nothing to me. What makes you steal a person?
Yeah, but drug addicts aren't going to be able to cover their tracks so well that it's like he just vanished.
And my husband says, yes, there are a lot of drugs there, and so did Jay. Big meth area. Yeah, I think so, Jay. I think that's where he did. So that's funny. What'd you say, Rob?
To be able to cover your tracks so well, if you're the one that's abducted the body, a crackhead or a meth head ain't gonna be able to. They're gonna be all over the show. They're not gonna know what day it is. They're not gonna be able to cover their tracks, so there's not even a scent there.
See, that I was gonna say the same thing. How are you? Yeah, they're not gonna make it so there's not even a scent. They didn't trash his car. They're gonna want to rob you and get the F out of there, right? They're gonna take your whole body, your whole person.
Well, wouldn't you think they would have took the car and sold the car, or done something with the car to get some money?
That's what I'm thinking. The car, you think, would give me your keys and then steal the car. I don't understand why people go missing from the park. That makes no sense to me. I can see finding them killed in the park by a drug addict who didn't have the temperament to put up with being told that you weren't going to give them your jewelry or something. But to just and do what? You're taking them in your vehicle and No, and you're thinking, assuming nobody else is going to be on the trail, no one's going to see you. That the whole meth addict kidnapping people thing. I mean, wouldn't they try and get a ransom then? What are they doing with this guy? It's just well, yes, meth makes you crazy. Yes, I have a brother who is proof of that. Here comes Uncle Mike, bringing Uncle Mike up into every podcast. Oh. Also, it's on the way to Amboy, California, which is a big devil worship area. Amboy Crater, like Witch Mountain. Oh. P.S. Witch Mountain was my favorite movie as a child. I wasn't weird. Well, that's interesting. See, now there, I can see people taking a body. But, however, there's been children, and well, that is interesting. Children have gone missing from here, and like I said, that little girl whose father went on TV and said it's the police department. The police department is in on this. They know who's taking people, and they took my daughter, or they know who took my daughter. So that's pretty ballsy and scary.
Yeah,
So
very.
don't expect help from the police department. Anyway, the whole no scent thing at all. It's just the story is very, very scary.
Mm.
Don't go into that park. Stay away from Joshua Tree. Just do. It's not good. And besides, it's the desert. There's a lot of it. You can go anywhere else. Jay Tonry says, Amboy has huge acid ponds to fill car batteries, etc. Dump bodies, never find them. Thank you. I'm going to write that down. My next vacation spot. Josh, my son, says, yeah, stay away from my trees. Oh, thank you, Robert. A different Robert. Yes, it's horrible on the person who is addicted to it and their families. Anyway, if I had a list of national parks I would stay away from, I would say don't go to the Appalachian Mountains, don't go to the Adirondacks, don't go to Joshua Tree National Park, and don't go anywhere in western Washington State. I lived in the eastern part. We don't go missing there. That's my conclusion. Lots of places in California, Crater Lake. Also, parts of Oregon. The West is very bad. What do you think it is, Rob? Do you think it's serial killers? Do you think it's paranormal? Do you think that they take these people? You can tell me this, Jay. Do you think they take them to Area 51 and use them in horrific experiments? UFOs? Bigfoot?
I think that if obviously people are disappearing, if they are disappearing without a trace and there is no scent and it just doesn't add up, then once you've exhausted all the searches and all that, people going out looking for them and sending the dogs and Fleur and everything else, getting the army involved, getting the FBI involved, getting whoever involved, I think the only thing that you're left with is it's got to be something supernatural or paranormal, whichever word you prefer. And I think that's the only thing that you can sort of surmise from it, because people do not disappear.
Mm-hmm.
People don't disappear. It's not
Mm-hmm.
a magic show. You know, these people are disappearing and they're never seen again.
Yeah.
Or if they are seen again, it's 2 or 3 years later, basically where everyone searched.
Yeah. Yep.
So what else can it be?
Yeah. Yeah. You have thousands of people, hundreds or thousands of people searching. Um, Jay says, I knew you would ask that. Then he called me a boob. Area 51 field trip, please. Yes. We should exit light and subs should go to Area 51. We're gonna send Jay as our spokesperson though, because I'm not built for those experiments, Jay. I'm not gonna be able to hold out very long. I think when they're calling in armed special forces, when oh, Jeremy says, what if they're being raptured? Well, I don't think the rapture is going to take one person at a time, though. Yeah. Well, if they're being raptured, I don't think they get to take their clothes with them or their cameras. I think you're raptured naked. And I love the fact that you used raptured as a verb. You know, raptured. Just do it. Um, a lot of West Coast crazy started in LA after World War II. Very dark place. Lots of murders, especially women. Then Manson. Yeah. Jay says, "Mama Light will eat us." I'll drive. I'm not saying I'm not going to take us in our RV to Area 51, because I will. I'm just saying.
Another point as well, when they turn around and say, when a child has disappeared in the middle of nowhere, and then he turns up 10 miles away, and he's got there in overnight or something, and
Right.
he's 5 years old, and
Yes.
you know, and we're supposed to believe that. We're supposed to believe it.
Yes, you're right. Yes. Yes. Or the like a child will climb a mountain that takes
Yeah.
special equipment for the rescue crew to get up there, and they're like, "Yeah, he climbed it." Mm. That's what I think really frustrates me the most is how stupid we are supposed to be
Exactly.
to tell us the most outrageous, stupid things, and we're supposed to be, oh, okay, that makes sense. You know, the whole chemtrail thing where they say that they're, drugging us. They're not doing a very good job, because I'm not stupid enough to believe this yet. I think there's something fishy about it. I think there is. And I don't think that we're going to find out from the government, because they know. Let's be honest. They know. They're sending in the special forces for a 3-year-old child. They know. Arthur Conan Doyle said, this is from Mad Meerkat, when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth.
Yeah. I was trying to think of that, but I couldn't remember the words.
Yeah.
Well done. Thank you.
So, Do you have it is almost 10. I'm counting on my fingers. Is it almost 4 o'clock there?
22.
Jeepers. Do you want to tell another story, or do you want to save it for us to do another podcast on this?
We can do it. We can do another, but it is. I didn't realise the time. Yeah, well, because obviously there's a couple of people from the UK.
Yeah.
They're going to want to get some sleep.
Probably. So we can do another podcast on this because I love this topic. I find it obviously I don't love that people are going missing. I just feel like it's fascinating. I feel like it needs to be talked about much more often than it's talked about. I'm glad that these cases are getting steam beneath them and being brought to the public attention. I myself only learned about this 7 months ago or something.
Yeah.
I had no idea that this was happening or the magnitude in which it was happening. I feel like it's good to get word of this out, and that more people that know, the more people that we can hold our whatever's happening, whatever's happening, we can hold these people accountable and say what is happening. If this many people in America died of every single day of Ebola, let's say that this many people died every day or every year of Ebola, it would be on the news every day, right?
Yeah.
24/7. I live in Texas, and that's where the only cases of Ebola were that year that I was here. And you would have thought that it was rampant. It felt rampant, by the way, living in Texas. It felt that way. But you have, how many did you say? 1,600 people a day? A month? That go disappearing, Rob?
Oh, 1,500 people a day.
1,500 people a day. If that many people were dying from Ebola, we wouldn't have to be talking about it on YouTube. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So I think it's we'll do another podcast about it. 1,500, Victor. That is crazy. Jay says Rob rules. Jay, nobody ever says that about me.
JC rules.
Thank you, Rob. Rob's the fan favorite. He's not bad for 50.
Check me out.
Okay, so you guys, thank you for coming. Thank you for talking about this. Thank you for being so active in chat. Thank you for letting Rob talk about his A, dreams of 3 little bald men, and B, telling us that a little anal between friends is perfectly fine.
Oh, we're never going to live that down now.
Yeah. Thank you, Jay. And I'll be back here next week with a podcast. And like we might be doing it a little bit different next week, though. We might have Jory and I doing our thing and then having it be recorded. And then YouTube has this new thing called a premiere. And I can premiere the podcast, but I will be in the chat with you guys, which I think would be kind of fun. Jay goes, anal, I'm so in trouble for my mother. Don't tell your mom, Jay. You don't tell her. I don't tell her. All right. Good night, you guys. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Rob,
No problem.
for being here. Save the stories you have. And we'll do another podcast in a couple weeks. What do you think?
No problem. Yeah, I really like this subject.
Okay. Thank you, Jeremy, for all the hard work you do behind the scenes.
Cheers,
Thank
mate.
you. What?
I said cheers to Jeremy.
Oh, and thank you, moderator Maya, for
Thank you,
moderator
Maya.
Maya me. Go ahead and put up Patreon Maya in case anybody feels the need to do that. If you're listening to this on my channel, and you're not already subscribed, please do so, and please give this video a thumbs up. And if you guys have not given the video a thumbs up, please do. And Diabolical Witness says Rob is a trooper, and Rob is. He puts up with a lot from me.
Cheers, mate.
He loves it though. Thank you, Josh, for also coming in. And you guys, be safe. Have a good night. Steve, get some good sleep. Rob, you get some good sleep. And I'm going to talk to you in a few hours.
Yep.
All right. Good night, you guys.
Good night.